I am so thrilled to be here with Elle Ingalls, and we are going to talk about having resilience in spite of being a hot mess and through your hot mess of emotions. So I'm loving that we're going to have this beautiful conversation about being calm and confident moving forward, because all of us seem like we're a hot mess at some point or another. So welcome, Elle.
Thank you so much, Stacy.
So first of all, tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Sure. Um, Best way to describe it is a download from above after many, many years of study and research on how can we perform at our best no matter what's going down. So I'm a mom. I have 3 sons. They're all grown now, but I went through, all that, being a mom, being a working mom, being also a stay-at-home mom. So I've kind of bridged both sides of that. And been with my husband for 32 years this year. So that's a long relationship. And navigating all of that. My background is in music. So I'm a professional violinist, conductor, and an executive. And I went into this whole new career teaching people what I call the pressure-free method. So it's a method I designed to help you stay calm, collected, no matter what's going down, so that you don't hurt yourself.
Oh, wow.
Your body and your mind can really work for you. So when I talk about emotional resilience, it's at a very deep level, like a real core level. And you hear a lot today about people burning out their adrenals, so fatigued they can't get up, difficulties keeping focus. And so I help with all of those things, health-wise and then performance-wise.
Wow. Well, tell me a little bit more about that pressure-free method. Well, first of all, how did you come to do what you do?
I have to credit my mentor and my family. So, you're a coach, I'm a coach. I've always had coaches and mentors in my life. But I put a very special person in my life in 2010. And he's a very accomplished economic developer, someone totally in a different field than myself. But I knew if I shared a business that I was working on, that he would have great input. When I shared my business with him, it was in a different field. He goes, this is nice, but I've read your bio online and I think you should be doing something completely different.
Oh, wow.
So I know my face kind of fell like, oh, I've worked so hard on this concept and you're telling me to shelve it. And he goes, just stay open. And 2 nights later, the dining room table in our house is like where we all meet and hang out. And our 2 older boys were playing on the same baseball team for high school. And my oldest son said, Mother, you should coach our boys in your mental toughness that you teach your violin students and that you teach us. We would win state champs if you would teach them that.
Wow.
And I was like, I started laughing, Stacy, because I'm like, you want me in the dugout? That's ridiculous. Who wants their mom anywhere near the dugout? And he goes, really, I want you in the dugout coaching us. And I looked at my middle son. He goes, we want you, Mom. We want you. So what teenage boys really want their mother to be coaching their peers? That's kind of an odd thing to begin with.
It's an honor.
It was a total honor. And so I got to work, and my husband's a professional writer, and he put some funny baseball graphics. And by the end of the weekend, I had a pamphlet. It was rude, it was crude, but it was funny.
Uh-huh.
And I took it to the tough coach first, the guy with his arms and the chew and he's spitting the whole time. I took it to him first.
Right.
And he loved it. He goes, this has merit. You should work with the boys and take it to the head coach. I'm totally supportive. So I took it to the head coach, and this was 2010. And for anybody who's in this field right now, it's kind of similar. 2010 financial advisor. And it was a scary, scary time.
Yeah.
So he saw what I was doing, and on the spot, he hired me to be his private coach.
Oh my goodness.
It was incredible.
Wow.
And then a couple days later, I was talking to my department head at the college where I've taught violin and viola for years. And she goes, I said, let me show you what I'm working on these days. And she literally grabbed her checkbook and said, I need this and I need to start tomorrow. And that was 2010. I just got a message from her that this little thing I created this weekend, she just signed in for it. Like my clients are still with me, because they gained so much from what I created. But those 2 people were my first 2 paying clients. And I had all these baseball boys that I was teaching on the spot, creating on the spot. And I truly, when I said download from above, I really mean that. So I have studied performance anxiety and performing well since I was 18. And going to the med library at the University of Michigan, because there was no internet, I did real hard research for years on how to be the greatest performer I could be. And so delving into all that and pulling it all together, it was like everything clicked into place.
Right. Right.
And the method was so amazing. People just couldn't believe what was happening in their lives. Like long time chronic disease gone, remission from cancer. Just all this stuff started to happen for them.
Wow.
And so it went far beyond me just getting kids to be able to bat well. You know?
Well, it sounds like something we really need to know about. Tell me a little bit more about the pressure-free method. And
Sure.
This is exciting.
It really is. I mean, it's you know, you're gonna learn something from me today that could literally be life-changing for the rest of your life.
Wow.
So I love to do everything in simple steps. So the pressure-free method is 3 simple steps.
Okay.
Targets, that's what are you aiming for or you want to move away from? Like disease or your face turning red when you give a speech or whatever those things are. Feeling scared, you know, what is it that you're aiming for? What kind of life do you really want to have? Getting some traction on those targets is what I call the fuel. Now you are fueled to make a difference in your life if you can pinpoint something that you need to change. Sometimes my clients in their strategy session, they'll just say, Elle, I just need to feel happier. Like I'm affecting my family, my kids, because I'm so unhappy. Or, you know, they are teens. I work with young people too. And they'll just say, my brain's broken. I have to get out of this funk, you know? So it can be emotional or tangible, but targets, that's the first step. And then the second step are triggers. Triggers are anything that make you feel angry, anxious, annoyed, or ashamed. And of course, any fear. So feeling afraid.
I can think of a lot of those already.
I know. And so for me, like annoyance, I had no idea, but all the little ways that I get annoyed, that's what was causing me to actually go into fight or flight and release stress hormones. Just simple annoyances of clutter, or somebody didn't pick something up, or there's milk on the floor, whatever it is.
Right.
We're, you know, in a crazy time when we're doing all kinds of stuff. So there's plenty to be annoyed about.
Yeah.
And of course, annoyance and anger are on a continuum too. Like, and I want to share this. I think this could be impactful because I was working with a family once. So husband, wife, 2 teens. And as I asked each one of them, like, what is your big A? Is it, do you get annoyed? Do you get angry? Do you get anxious or ashamed? And each person answered, and the dad was last. And he said, oh, I get annoyed. And the rest of the family was looking at him funny, and they're going like, I go, okay, so what does that mean?
Right.
And they go, oh no, Dad, you get angry. And he goes, honestly, none of you have ever seen me angry. I hold that in, which is why he had heart disease, major heart disease.
Wow.
He held that in, and it was corrupting him, you know, at a deep level. And so he goes, I would never want to hurt you that way. Like I hold my anger in. So what you see is what I think of as annoyance, right?
But they saw it as anger.
Right. And so we're all, I think of, you know, I'm sure there are going to be viewers here who have children. So I remember when my middle boy, who's my artist, he's quite sensitive. He sees things other people don't see, you know, and he's also funny and hilarious. When he first went to school, the first day of school, he comes home and he's got tears in his eyes. He goes, I feel so bad for the teacher. She has to yell. Well, no, my husband and I never yell. And she wasn't yelling. She was just having to raise her voice, you know, in the classroom, but he had never experienced that.
Wow.
So for him, that was yelling. So we all have a different sensitivity to loudness of voice, to tone of voice, to all these things. And I help my clients understand that. You may have a really sensitive kid that you don't think you're yelling or you don't think you're being harsh, but they feel it because they feel a tension in your voice because you're in a hurry.
Mhm. Right,
Simple
right,
things like that, that when we can unlock all that, it's pretty magical. So those A behaviors, that helps you figure out, or those A feelings, that figures out, okay, those are my triggers.
right, right.
It could be traffic. It could be feeling like you're going to be late, all
Mm.
these little things. And so we map your triggers. And if you're doing this on your own, by the way, please be careful to not get overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, my life is so crappy because look at all my triggers. That's this. I really, be gentle with yourself, because we can have a lot of triggers.
Mm.
I remember a 17-year-old girl at a workshop. She covered an 8.5 by 11, both sides of the paper in a tiny, tiny, tiny spidery scrawl.
Oh, wow.
During our breakout session, she comes back and she goes, "It's just a wonder I haven't killed my whole family."
Oh.
She comes in from a really big family, and all these little triggers, like how long her sister takes a shower, and all these little things.
Mm-hmm.
So the point of that is just to really understand and see, okay, these things affect me.
So it sounds like it's making them visible to you. Like usually they're kind of just going around, making you anxious, ashamed, afraid, or what were the other A's?
Angry, anxious, annoyed, ashamed. Yeah.
Angry, anxious, annoyed, ashamed, and yet you don't really define them. So when you're writing them down, that really puts them out in black and white where you can see them and then deal with them, right?
Yeah, like here's a funny one of mine. Anything burning smell.
Ah.
Burning smell is an instant trigger. Well, a blanket caught on fire once at a camp that I was wrapped in at a campfire. So that's probably why.
Mm-hmm.
I smell a little bit of burning and I'm like, honey, something's burning, right?
Right, right.
I'm in total alert mode and ready to spring into action, which of course is that fight or flight.
Right.
So the fight, flight, freeze. Also, there's two other F's I've learned. One is fib. This is coming from the ADD, ADHD community, where you'll make up little white lies. Like your boss will say, "Are you done with that project yet?" And you'll say, "Almost," and you haven't even started it.
Mm.
You'll make up little lies to protect yourself because you're stressed about it.
Right.
And this last one is from children with trauma. It's fawning. So it's like over flattering.
Yeah.
They're so desperate for friendship that they will, "Oh, I love your dress. I love your dress so much." Like they'll overdo it. That's a sign that they're triggering fight or flight.
Wow.
So that's kind of interesting to note. So triggers. You figure out what those triggers are. By the way, if you do trigger fight or flight, we move into what I call the B behaviors. We get bitchy. We get bossy. We even bully people and we don't know it. We don't even know we're doing it.
Wow.
We're trying to protect ourselves
Mm-hmm.
or our family. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll lash out or we go the other way. We feel really broken.
Right.
We feel really burned out. And then there's a third little thing we'll do. We'll start finger pointing. It's his fault I didn't get my degree. It's the kid's fault that I never finished my GED. Like we'll come up with finger pointy behavior, even back at ourselves, because we're in this weird mode when we're in fight or flight.
Wow.
So
we talked about, let's kind of make it clear. So we talked about the goals, right? Or and then we talked about triggers. Okay. Yeah. And then what is that third component?
Yeah. Third step are tools and the 10-second solution.
Ooh.
So intriguing. So from a resting heart rate, granted it has to be like a resting heart rate. If you're elevated in your heart rate, it will be less time. But from a resting heart rate, it takes about 10 seconds for the whole brain body connection to tell your adrenal glands to release that first flood of stress hormones called catecholamines. Most of it is adrenaline, but it is a cocktail. Mm-hmm. So I like to say you are now under the influence. Right. So you've released this cocktail, and most of us get adrenaline, like you feel the rush, and now you're in a frenetic hurry, like hurry up kids, right? Mm-hmm. So we and I'm raising my hand. I was addicted to adrenaline. Yeah. I was an adrenaline junkie. I thought it made me super mom, super powerful. Right. But really it was killing me on the inside. Mm-hmm. And I had evidence that I was in denial about, like stress acne, eczema all over my hands. I had stress fat in my torso area, a lot of stress fat.
Yeah.
I'd get sick a lot. And since 2010, using this method on myself, knock on wood, I've had 5 small colds, 3 in the first 2 years. And since then, just 2 colds. So in 8 years, I've only been ill twice.
Oh my goodness.
I used to catch everything my kids brought home from school, everything, and get it worse and still work through it, soldier on.
Right.
So,
you know what, that's very interesting you say that, because I've always been that way too. And sometimes my girls will be like, I don't feel very well. I'm like, unless you're throwing up or have a really high fever over 100, you are going to school, you're going to work, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm unfortunately passing that on to them. So when they need to listen to their own bodies, right?
Yeah, it's so interesting. Yeah, I didn't listen to that at all. I just kept soldiering on, and and then that kept my immune system pretty compromised. But I was really in denial, to be honest. I mean, I thought I was a pretty cool professional. I thought I was getting it all done, and I was this uber volunteer in the community, like all the things, right?
Right.
So, yeah, it was like a lot of denial for me when I first started coaching this. I even thought, oh my gosh, like, am I doing it? Not really. So I delved in and I fixed myself, which was really super powerful. And I haven't had any eczema since. I could never even wear a ring. My fingers were so bloated and broken and cut up by eczema. It was awful.
Wow.
So yeah, so that was a huge change for me. So this 10-second solution means that if you can notice, just like you were mentioning, Stacy, how if you can notice the trigger, now we have 10 seconds. Before this whole connection can be made and you release the adrenaline. That is the magic spot. And that's where I teach my clients how to use all these different tools to help interrupt the stress response and protect them from that first flood. Now, most people know about adrenaline. People are hearing more about cortisol today. So glucocorticoids, glucose and cortisol, is a separate flood of hormones. That goes out later to fix the body, the brain cells and the major muscle cells that we just depleted when we went into fight or flight.
Right.
It's got a super important purpose. You don't want to just reduce cortisol, like a lot of CBD oil and all of this. You don't want to do that, because that's going to just make your brain cells even more, I don't even know.
Because the adrenaline's still in there, right?
You need to get what's happened is we've pulled fat and glucose out of our brain cells, which is why the face turns red. That blood flow is pulling it through. So we want to get the salt, sugar, water content back to normal in here, so we can be activated. And so it's got a really great purpose. However, we just shot a whole bunch of glucose into the bloodstream. In fact, with both floods, sugar goes into the bloodstream. So we have so much diabetes 2 today. Yeah. And so much of it is because of stress. You could have the most perfect diet and still get diabetes 2 because of your stress levels. So that's huge. And then cortisol, 2 things. It can make you feel anxious for no reason. So I had a 14-year-old girl. She was in chronic anxiety for 2 full years. Just got a beautiful note from her. She's graduating this year. So when she was 14, her dad hired me to work with her. She was the one who said, when she told me she wanted to be a graphic artist and go to California and all this great stuff when she graduated. And then she looks at me and she goes, Elle, I just want to feel happy. So that was really our driving fuel. What was so cool, Stacy, was that it only took her about 2.5 weeks of us working together that she had her first breakthrough day.
Wow.
And by a breakthrough day, I mean she went the whole day without triggering even once. Because these 2 floods of hormones, when they go out, that second flood is just going to make you feel anxious for no reason.
Right.
So when you kind of have that general anxiety, you shouldn't really be worried here, but you kind of are. Like you're like, what is that? It's a horrible feeling. It's nausea, Yes. Well, she recognized, she goes, oh, I get it now. If I can stop the first flood, the second flood won't go out. I'm like, yes. So we're just instantly cutting so much anxiety out of her life, like boom.
Wow.
So, it only took her, most of my clients, it's like 4 to 8 weeks to have that kind of breakthrough day. But hers was so fast and so beautiful. And then we just build on those days with all these tools that I have.
So
So
what is it that you do in those 10 seconds? What can you do?
what can you do?
Just
So,
show those.
and it's great for you to just ask that question of yourself. You'll come up with some answers yourself.
Mm,
But in my intro course, I have over 40 tools, and they come in 3 types. Your body interrupting your mind interrupting your body, and the third kind, which you wouldn't think is a stress reduction tool, but for some of my clients, it's like they're perfect tools. And it's what I call life design tools. So I have very unique time management tools, very unique goal setting systems that I teach people. They're not like anything you'll read anywhere. They're very unique and different, very specific to this idea of ultimate health and ultimate performance.
Right.
So putting that all together, people find their tools and their little systems, and they're off and running. Just playing, I use that word intentionally, like, let's just play here, Stacy. We can't try too hard or that builds anxiety. So, you need to like really open up and just kind of play with these concepts and see which ones work for you, because, the tools that might work for you, Stacy, person watching here, totally different tools.
Right.
So
can you give us a couple of examples of tools?
Yeah. So I have this funny starter tool. It's called the Celebration Ferris wheel, and it builds a few tools in one. So if I teach it to you, you're going to get a couple ideas right away.
Okay.
The first part of it is that I want you to celebrate. I want you to celebrate that you noticed a trigger. Maybe you didn't catch it in time, but I still want you to celebrate, because when that thing comes up again, you'll stand a better chance at getting it in time.
Right.
So we're trying to break habits that aren't just our own, they're generational.
Mm-hmm.
And we built them from anyone who had influence over us: peers, teachers, coaches, parents, guardians, family members.
Right.
So we're breaking generations of habits of reaction together. So celebrate that you notice. That's kind of a life design deal.
Uh-huh.
I like to have you picture a little Ferris wheel right in front of your face, right in front of your body, and you're just pushing a car and getting it spinning.
Right.
In other words, we're getting out of the hamster wheel and the rat race, and we're pushing this beautiful little Ferris wheel. The spinning is a metaphor for your energy. You just gave yourself some quality life. Mm-hmm. And I want you to do it with me. So just push your arms straight in the air, like you're pushing. Okay. And so you usually don't walk around like that, right, Stacy?
Right. No.
So as an adult, there's only 2 ways in my decades of research that I've understood it's possible to rewire the human brain. One is a large motion.
Okay.
So if you do a large motion, your brain goes, oh, I'm doing something. She's doing so. You didn't overreact with anger and tightness. You went like this. And immediately your brain has an ability to rewire a little differently.
Ooh, nice.
It's super, super cool. So because let's say you're driving and there's a big traffic block and you're late already, you would tighten this way. But if you go like this with one hand, of course.
Right. Keep one hand on the wheel.
Right. If you go like this, you just opened your body and gave yourself some space.
Oh, wow.
So that's why it's a really powerful starter tool for my clients. So I want you to do it again, and this time leave your arms in the air. We don't care if we have pit stains. Okay. So leave your arms in the air, and now come back down and don't change your rib position. Bring your arms out to the sides and keep your ribs right where they were. And you notice that you're higher. Mm-hmm. Ribs are now a little higher, away from your hips. Right. And you opened here. When we go into fight or flight, we tighten all of this and we protect.
Right.
So by really opening, you're going to feel instantly a different state change. Mm. And it's like you're getting up and over your problem so you can solve it now.
Right.
You're not down in the muck. So
and
that is
breathing more, right? I'm taking a deep breath.
Yeah, you're going to be able to breathe. I always knew about the big breath thing, but I didn't do it in the 10 seconds, so I was too late. My face was already red. My hands are sweaty. Terrible for violinists, by the way, to have sweaty palms. So,
right.
It's like, so I would already be in fight or flight, and I'm trying to breathe, and I never took a long enough breath because you're in like adrenaline phase.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, yeah. So if you can open up, now you're going to be able to breathe. And then it's a silly thing to do, so hopefully you smile.
Right. Right.
And that's a mind tool, because when your corners of the mouth go up, you actually release a little bit of dopamine. Dopamine gets a bad rap because it's linked to addiction. However, dopamine is required for your whole cortex and your hippocampus, thinking, remembering back here, decision-making, willpower. If you go into fight or flight, that all shuts down somewhat. You
Right.
go into your reptile brain. So when you can keep dopamine flowing with just the tiniest little smile, you're going to be able to think straight. So now in whatever situation you're in, you now get to choose your response. Rather than overreact and go into fight or flight and feel miserable. And here's the deal. When a male triggers this, these hormones last up to 9 hours in their cells. It takes up to 9 hours to get them out. But for females, it's up to 24 hours.
Oh my goodness.
So
Wow.
that explains why we will hang on to arguments longer. We'll be in the fight for a whole day. Whereas the guy's like a few hours later, he's like forgotten what the argument is.
Right.
He literally, I had a boy, a 22-year-old's girlfriend broke up with him on a Saturday morning because he couldn't remember what the argument was about the night before.
Oh, wow.
He was still in the argument, right? You know, and she was just so belligerent on him for not remembering.
Right.
But literally it wasn't as huge a deal because he wasn't biologically in the fight like she was. So it's that gender difference can explain so much for people.
Now you mentioned something that I think is very profound. What this does, and like you said, you've got tons of tools that can help you.
Yeah.
What this does is it gives you the space to make a choice.
Yes.
It de-escalates things enough where you can make a choice about how you respond to any of these. And I absolutely love this. And I'm thinking when you're in a tough relationship, and a lot of people who watch my channel and all of that sort of thing, they could be in abusive relationships, or they have been in abusive relationships. And so they're triggered often
all the time
by lots of different things.
Yes.
And this can give them a method where, okay, I can choose, because when you're in that situation, let's say you're like butting heads with, someone who is an emotional abuser or an abuser of any sort.
Right.
Immediately you are cowering. Immediately you're trying to make them happy or trying to resolve the situation in some way that is really not helping you.
Right.
And might not be in your best interest. You just want it to go away, and you're in that freeze, flight, or fight or flight situation.
Right.
This can give you the space to react rationally and in your own best interest. And so I love that.
Oh my gosh. And I also really encourage people, because when I started using the method, my eldest son and I we were the ones who dug in, like we were super doing it. And my husband was writing, like editing my stuff, but he actually hadn't had a session with me, like he hadn't.
Right.
And so he clearly remembers sitting at a baseball game, and we all know how to push each other's buttons. We know how to do that. And some of us actually get a rise out of it. Like we get a rise out of seeing someone get a little uncomfortable. We don't, and a part of it is the fight or flight thing. Like that protects us when we can see that they can be vulnerable, or they can get mad, or, so we push each other buttons. So we're sitting at the game, and he so clearly remembers, I don't remember it, but he said something to me and I did not react. Like I just smiled and said, oh yeah, we'll take care of that later, or whatever. And he sat there and he goes, oh my gosh, she is different. Like she is different. Wow. And so then like a few weeks later, he kind of broke down and he goes, I don't know. I feel like you maybe don't care. And I said, listen, let's go out on the patio and I'm going to give you a coaching session right now.
Right.
And he cried.
Oh.
And he said, I've been an anxious person from the time I was in second grade. He clearly remembers the moments when his anxiety, he was filled with it. And he became a pen chewer. That's how and it was a sign. And it was so amazing. We did the session, and he actually broke his pen chewing habit. He comes back to it now and then, but that was 2010. In 2 days, he broke the habit, because it was the anxiety fueling it. And when he could notice, when you can notice what's starting to fuel your feeling,
right?
What's more important, you, your health. And I get really into this with my clients because you have to feel like you deserve a beautiful life.
Yes, that's true.
And
That's true.
so does the person you're butting heads with.
Yeah.
So does the person, anyone in your home, anyone that you've had a relationship with. We all deserve to have really beautiful lives. And we've been dealt a bunch of crap sometimes. Like we all have been dealt a bunch of crap. Everyone has had trauma. Everyone's trauma is different. And we will judge people's trauma like, oh, that's not so bad. I'm sorry, but to me it was horrible. Like it crushed me. So we have to let go of those judgments and really get into, okay, what does it mean to have a beautiful life? That's part of the targets.
Yeah.
So with this 10-second solution, you're just trying out some tools. You're just experimenting with yourself, and you're starting to choose you at a very deep level, maybe for the first time in your life. Wow. That's what I'm going to cry now. That's what I really came to understand. Like I had never really chosen my emotional response. I just reacted to everything. And when you start to actually choose your own emotional response, it changes your whole life.
Oh. It gives you control. I love it because it does. It gives you control over the situation, over you. And really that's all you can control. That's and when you give up control over you, then you have no control.
Yes.
You have no control.
And I love that word because C words are what my clients would say, because I would survey them like, what do you feel now? They say, oh my gosh, I feel so much more calmer. I feel confident, like I can actually do something with my life now. I feel courageous. I feel committed. I'm now committed to this relationship. I've figured out what wasn't working.
Right.
So now I'm committed to making a better life for all of us, or whatever it is. Another word they will say, I feel more in control. And lately people have been saying, I feel competent.
Oh, I love that.
Because we lose our competency in fight or flight. We're not coordinated and we feel weird, And then the E words, and you mentioned a couple of them, like the ones I hear are energized, exhilarated, empowered, and enlightened.
Oh,
I'm finally enlightened about my body. I understand how fight or flight works and why I have this disease, or, any chronic disease, you name it. So fibromyalgia, lupus, cancer, heart disease, diabetes, all of those diseases that go through time and don't go away, they're all directly caused by these stress hormone release.
Stress. Yeah.
People will deny it. They say, no, stress doesn't cause. Stress hormone release is what causes it.
Yeah.
We can have all kinds of stress in our life. It's whether or not we're releasing the hormones. That's the true enemy here. For your thought patterns, for your relationships, for how you even feel. So that's what's so cool, is we're actually attacking the real enemy. So your adrenal glands can flourish and be healthy. So your thyroid, I bet you have a lot of people watching who have thyroid issues too. So your thyroid, that gets really messed up in fight or flight.
Yeah.
And that's why so many people have to have it taken out, or, like so much happens there. So that's a precious spot that I love to help people with here.
Wow.
So yeah, so this is
my gosh.
We could talk for hours, Stacy.
We could. This is amazing. It really, really is. So as we're wrapping up, tell me, is there anything else we need to know about this process?
Yeah. The one thing I would really say is be super gentle with yourself. I know that because I'm sure there's a lot of people watching, like you probably have a little bit of perfectionist in you. And with social media today, it's comparisitis like crazy. So just be super gentle with yourself and play with this concept. Don't try too hard. Trying really is kind of a cop-out. Like if I said to you, oh, I'll try to come out to your event next week.
Right.
You don't think you're going to see me. So I really encourage people to have fun with this and play with it. And if you press a Ferris wheel, but you still turned red, just kind of laugh like, oh, I see, very funny, because you're trying to change things that you've had for decades, and generations of habits. Oh, and here's something people ask me. One of the biggest questions I get, they'll say, isn't anxiety genetic? Like my mom was super anxious, or my father had anxiety or heart disease or whatever. It isn't. We learn it. We begin learning it though when we're in utero.
Yeah. Wow.
So we learn to be anxious. And that's why you can break it. And I'm here to stand here for you, because I don't believe it is okay for us to be so messed up in stress. We've created a stress society. And I truly believe it is not necessary. And and learning this method can help you break it. Wow. I've watched miracles happen for people. And I just thought it was going to help, again, boys bat better and people perform on stage better. I had no idea the health implication. And I met with I've actually coached physicians, psychologists, and therapists, because no one's ever taught them this. You don't get it in medical school. You don't get this. You don't get this in psychology classes. I mean, I've drilled so deeply on fight or flight as a performer. That's like a totally different animal, you know? So in psychology, you're looking for all the symptoms to diagnose. This is like turned on its head. Yeah. So it's a very specific expertise.
Stop it before it even starts. Oh, I love that. So you have a free gift for us. Tell me about what that is. And I'm really excited.
Yeah. So, and I was going to do one, and now I switched it because I'm always I love to create. So this weekend I'm writing a book. It's going to launch in July. And so I created a map, because my friend asked me to create a map of the method. Right. So I actually have some wheels, and I have the Ferris wheel, and I have a target wheel, and then I have this swooping arrow that gets you to your targets. Right. Okay, and those are the tools. The tools are on it. So I have a little map, and then I took the maps apart this weekend and made them PDF fillers. Oh, so nice. You can actually just pop it right up on your screen, type it, and then print it out and have it where you're identifying your top triggers, and then first identifying your targets. And then I put my basic 9 tools, which is a starter set of tools. And if people want to learn more, please, I have so many things I can help share them with for that. But I do have some tools right on that tool chart already to help. And the Ferris wheel's on there. Smile. Nice. Oh, beautiful. So they can look and just start to play with some of those tools when they see that their trigger is happening. So it's a graphic, for those of you who are visual learners. I think, because I had some people this week, and I put it out on Facebook, like, oh, I love this. Because, if you're a visual learner, to see it out like that instead of me talking.
Make it really clear. Yeah, I love that. So we're going to put the links down below. Do you have tell us where to find you at? Or is it on your website, or?
I don't have those on my website. No.
Okay. So we'll get a link down below, and then, but tell us where to find you at.
Yeah. So if you go to my website, it's just my name, Elle, E-L-L-E, think illegally blonde. And then remember Little House on the Prairie. So my husband is an Ingalls. So that's the last name. So that's how, if you forget me, it's illegally blonde, Little House on the Prairie.
There you go. That's good.
So Elle Ingalls. You can also get to my website with pressure-free.com.
Pressure-free.com.
Yeah, that will lead you there too. And if you hit contact, you'll see ways that you can get in touch with me personally. And then I have all kinds of things on there for you to learn. I have some free webinars, trainings right on there for you to go deeper with me. And just, if you hit courses, 4 different webinars are on each one of those courses. And those are just free for you to come on in and learn. And beautiful. Big mission. So
yeah, this is so amazing. Thank you so much, Elle, for bringing this to us and sharing it with us and sharing it with the world. And I'm going to go practice.
Oh my gosh. Well,
I'm going to go practice.
I'm really honored to talk to this group of people, the people that you serve. My heart is so there. Yeah. And so I have a private client right now who, so I understand, and I really care so much that you are helping people in this way, and Pressure Free could be such a great tool for them. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Elle, and we will check this out. I appreciate it.
Thanks.